Greetings, good life. I'd like to read more for you today from my Benevolent Magic blog. This one was originally posted on Tuesday, November 22nd of 2005, and it's called Sharpening Your Perceptions. Your world is moving gradually towards becoming more benevolent. Some of you have asked, how can I see that and not just see strife? While I support you being an informed citizen, I would recommend that in order to heighten your senses, that it is important to remove as much as possible that dulls your senses. I realize that there are some things that are simple pleasures. I'm not talking about simple pleasures from human being to human being, you understand. But I am talking about things that are technological in nature. Television, while it can be a comfort and nurturing, yes, also prompts your body when you are watching it very often, whether it is the news or some program of excitement with the performed act of violence, almost always causes your body to enclose itself, to shield itself. Your body does not differentiate that much from real violence and artificial violence, and even though the news is important to understand your world and to keep informed, televised news will often have images of violence and prompt your body to become constantly afraid of the environment described in the television news. Because the news is not artificial for the most part. It is pictures and sounds and reports very often of actual violence. Oh, I don't want to seem like I'm indicting the news for being a causative factor in dulling your senses, but I feel it is important that if you wish to be informed as a citizen, that you watch less news, and if you see something on the news in television, or read something in the paper, or even hear something spoken about that is a news event, as soon as you can, if it is upsetting, you understand, or it represents violence, even violence prompted by nature such as storms or earth motion, as soon as you can, say the living prayer. I am asking that all those beings. You see, beings covers human beings, animals, plants, everything. I am asking that all those beings in, then you mention the name of the place, if you can, or if you know where this event took place, then you say, who need help, assistance, love, support, have all their needs fulfilled now by all those beings who can help them. Now I recognize reminding you of something I've said before in the blog. However, this is something done to help support your perceptions and to sharpen your senses so you can see and feel the benevolence that is happening in the world. It also allows you to contribute to the solution rather than to simply become anxious and afraid, yes, and worry, and be upset for your fellow beings. It gives you something you can do. Living prayer functions to provide through a request, and many of you will feel some benevolent energy when you say this. Sometimes circumstances will not support your feeling it, but you will often feel it. Living prayer requests the cooperation of all souls, and it works. You may not see the results yourself, you may not hear of the results, but often you will hear that something that was expected to happen, that would have been much worse, say, post-catastrophe disease, for instance, while expected happens only in a very minimized way, because you, and perhaps others like you, said a living prayer, requesting not only that the beings who were exposed to that catastrophe receive all the help they needed, yes, but some of you might also have thought to say that you ask that the organisms, viruses, bacteria, and so on, mutate there into some benign form that will be safe for all beings, you see. And you'd be surprised at the level of cooperation amongst all life, including that which is around you. Living prayers include everyone and exclude no one. Their results and their process is all about the united aspects and cooperation of all souls, and all souls of all beings. I have found the living prayer is a very profound and can often be very helpful. This is one of the good ways to sharpen your senses, because instead of simply reacting to news events, worrying or getting anxious, you have something you can say now. You are empowered, and you have something you can do. Try to follow the words of living prayers as I've given here as best you can. And if you feel a lot of energy, it feels good when you are saying the living prayers. It's all right to pause and let that energy be there, and then finish the living prayer. If you're in a rush, then continue on through it, but let the energy linger if you can. If you are with others, perhaps you're in a carpool. The driver must stay alert, but perhaps there will be 2 or 3 others, in the back seat or something. And you all know about living prayers. Then the 3 of you in the back seat could say a living prayer for something you heard about, or someone, or some circumstance. You'll be surprised. You might feel more energy when you do this together in a small group. But there is a factor to be alert to when saying a living prayer with someone else. You have to say it out loud, and it can be distracting. It's all right to say a living prayer by plugging your ears, so you can't hear the other people say it, or to whisper it. That's all right. If one person is leading because they're inspired to say a living prayer some way, or the others want to be guided by that person's method of saying it, all right. Then the person who's saying it, and the others, if you like, can all plug your ears so you can say it, or the persons who are listening can keep their ears open so they can say it. I'm not trying to create complications, just that living prayers are best said when the words are spoken, one after the other, clearly, without error if possible. To remind you, if you do trip over the words, just stop for a few minutes and relax, and then start again. Say it through to the end as best you can. Some of you have trouble speaking, and you have asked me what to do about that. Even though you have trouble speaking, and I know that's a factor for some of you, then in your case, this is what to do. There is something to do. You think the living prayer, and if you can mouth it without having the words come out of your mouth, just form your lips without saying anything out loud, but thinking it, then that will help too. If you can't form your lips, or perhaps you are unable to move your mouth for some reason, this is possible. Some of you have asked about that. Then you think it, and sometime you may be able to say it. Remember that living prayers can be said for yourself as well as others, and benevolent magic is always and only said for yourself. That is because benevolent magic can be stronger in some ways, not necessarily more intense, but it requires a great deal of cooperation. You, if you really want something, see, that's fine, but others, you must say something like living prayer, because you are asking their souls to cooperate in something you are asking for. So living prayer, in some ways, is more gentle. Benevolent magic is gentle. It is loving, but asking it for yourself. You will be profoundly receptive to receiving the benevolent results, however long they take, or however quickly they arrive. Thank you all for being interested in sharpening your perceptions. And the way, as I recommend it, is to, when you see something on the news that upsets you, or hear about something, to say what you can, and do what you can, with living prayer to support resolution, because you will notice very often that it will actually cause you to feel less upset. Fear and anxiety will many times drop away, because you will realize you have something you can do about it, not just be frightened, and that will allow your perceptions to sharpen, and for you to be more alert, and your body to feel safe to be sensitive. Good life to you all, and good night.